Coming up tonight on Patriots Unfiltered on TV, AFC East champions. It's a return to glory days in Mike Vrabel's first season in New England. Also tonight, after a dramatic comeback versus the Ravens, Drake May shows no mercy versus the Jets. And coming up later, with a division title in their pocket, should the Patriots go all out for the bye or get healthy for the playoffs?
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
Throws it to the end zone. For Cooper, back line, touchdown Patriots. Austin with a tumbling grab, and New England strikes first.
Short-handed on both sides of the ball, the New England Patriots overwhelmed the Jets, earning their first AFC East title in 6 years. Drake May's performance was nearly as perfect as it was impressive. 5 straight touchdown drives to close this one out before halftime. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Alex Francisco, and this is Patriots Unfiltered on TV. And for the third time in team history, the Patriots go unbeaten on the road. Let's kick it off and huddle up with Paul Perillo and Mike Dussault. This time last season, we were wondering if the Patriots would end up with the first overall draft pick. One short year later, we were wondering if they'll end up with the first overall seed in the AFC. Paul, Deuce, how do we feel about them taking off from New York, undefeated on the road, and getting back to Gillette as AFC East champions?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Just a nice feather in the cap of Mike Vrabel and this team. First year of this new regime. You look at what he said when he first got here. He said we want to win the division, we want to host playoff games, and we want to compete for championships.
Checking boxes.
Checking boxes. They are well on their way to doing all three, and just a great way to do it with Drake May playing one of his most impressive games of the season. I mean, he was just dropping bombs all over the place on the poor Jets defense.
Really cool just to see just how thoroughly they dominated an overwhelmed team. And I know what New York has been through. They've had a lot of injuries and departures and, you know, all kinds of turmoil, but the Patriots made them look like a team in turmoil, and it was never competitive. So hats off to them for that, and then hats on when they get back.
There you
so
go.
It was a perfect way to do it. Little strange though, like they're on the bus when they find out that, you know, the Bills weren't able to complete the comeback with the 2-point conversion. So you end up knowing as you prepare for your Week 18 game that you're AFC East champs.
Drake May, 4,000 passing yards in his second season. I mean, what? 5 touchdowns against the Jets. They're supposed to dominate in a game like that, but still, without Matt Collins, Kayshon Boutte, it's still so impressive, and just that second-year jump.
Yeah, well, you say they're supposed to, and that's something that, you know, I still had to see them go against this Jets team. We knew they'd already gone to their backup quarterback. They fired their defensive coordinator. Things are not going great in New York, but we haven't seen this Patriots team in a lot of these different situations. And, you know, the old Patriots, Paul, you saw plenty of times they'd go and take care of business in a game like that. But there was just no question right from the get-go. They came out right away, got a touchdown, got another touchdown, did not let up until they had 5 touchdowns in a row, and then they took their foot off the gas, and Drake May got a rest.
Yeah, both sides of the ball. You know, you come out, you go down and score, 3 and out, go down and score, force a turnover, go down and score. I mean, it's exactly the recipe that you wanted to see. Make these bad teams look bad, and that hasn't always been the case. And it seems like they're sort of peaking a little bit at the right time as they go forward. You know, coming off a really tough, emotional game in Baltimore on a Sunday night game, they were able to come from behind, but there was no signs of that at all, no signs of a let-up at all. So, again, the number one thing I take away from Mike Vrabel is the way he has had the team ready to go at every challenge. And, you know, maybe you might argue and say, well, Paul, what challenge was there with a beat-up, you know, disinterested Jets team? The challenge was to make sure you weren't still thinking about all the great things you did the previous week against Baltimore, and they didn't. There was no signs of a let-up.
And then just to piggyback off that, and just a credit to Mike Vrabel as undefeated on the road. I mean, how impressive is that just to have mentally when you're looking towards a playoff push as such a young team?
You know, Mike Vrabel said it went back to that Miami game. You know, the second week of the season, you come off a tough loss against the Raiders. You know, not sure what you've got at that point. It's still a new team. It's still all coming together. And then to go down there and win in Miami, I think that was a sign of things to come. And they've just been road warriors this whole season long. It's part of their identity. And certainly, like you said, Alex, point of confidence going into the playoffs.
Tom Brady and Bill Belichick had a little success around here. They were only able to do this twice. I don't think it's just every day that a team is able to run the table, and I don't care who you play. When you're on the road in the NFL, you have a chance to lose. and the Patriots were able to be perfect in that scenario. I don't think that's an easy thing to do, and I think, as you said, Alex, a lot of really good teams in NFL history weren't able to do that. The Patriots were.
Ramondre Stevenson, we gave him a lot of love last week, but kind of on a 3-game heater.
Yeah.
How important is it to see him, Travion Henderson, really establishing the run game at this point in the season and then really balancing out the offense?
Huge. I mean, especially this time of year to get Ramondre back from that toe injury that he suffered, mid-season, took him out of some games. His overall value to the offense, blocking, catching the ball, running the ball. Henderson, he went out of last week's game, came back, didn't feel like he quite had it going just yet, but Ramondre did, and that's just a huge bonus to have going into the playoffs, to know you've got a big back who can break some tackles, who can do pretty much anything you need him to do no matter what the matchup is.
And then you look at the way that game unfolded, it's almost perfect because you're able to get Stevenson a little rest because in the second half you didn't have to give him a bunch of carries there because the game was over. And then Henderson, after really kind of missing a lot of the game against Baltimore, was able to pile up some carries and yards there in the second half. Then you get him some rest. It was really a perfect scenario right down to the bus ride home when they find out about the Bills.
On defense, Patriots are down 4 starters with Milton Williams, Robert Spillane, Karis Tonga, Harold Landry. Still forced 3 and outs on the Jets' first 2 possessions. The state the Jets are in, how much credence can you give to the performance of some of those depth guys? Is that something you can really read too much into?
I'm not going to give it too much. I mean, no offense to them, but the Jets are what they are. Not sure what's going to look like this weekend against Miami. Maybe they get some of those guys back. Maybe they're able to, knock the rust off with them. But even if they do that, you're going to get to that first playoff game, and it's going to say, who do we have on defense who's ready to go and who's ready to play at the level that they played earlier in the season? It's a huge question mark over this team. Love having Drake May. I think he offsets a lot of those questions. But going into the playoff, my biggest question is, what does this defense look like as you get into that postseason?
Yeah, and the defense can only do what they're asked to do. They were, going against a limited group of offense on the Jets, and they made them look like that. Again, you get up to a great start. I just thought that the complementary aspect of the way they started the game, that's exactly what you're hoping for. Hey, you're not going to get greedy and say, well, geez, they have to jump out to a 35-3 lead in the playoffs. But you'd like to see an offensive drive and then follow that up with a stop. And that's how you win in the playoffs. You got to play from in front. You don't want to be chasing.
Still to come on Patriots Unfiltered on TV. Closing out the regular season at Gillette. What to expect from a Dolphins team that's gone from disastrous to competitive. Evan Lazar goes to the videotape to break down the Dolphins. Trash Talk debates the best path for the Patriots. Rest up or go all out for the top seed in the bye. Fred Kirsch on the last time the Patriots had this kind of turnaround. And I'll go one-on-one with Patriots linebacker Jahlani Tavai.
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Cross Insurance, official insurance broker of the New England Patriots, and by Sports Illustrated Tickets. 50 million sports concerts and theater tickets, 0 fees. Fans deserve better. Visit sitickets.com today.
You're watching Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
What's up, everybody? It's Evan Lazar. It's the Unfiltered Film Room for Week 18. The season finale against the Miami Dolphins. I want to break down this Dolphins offense. I've always liked Mike McDaniel and his offensive system, and they have a couple big-time playmakers that are worth highlighting in this Dolphins team. Right here, the running back, Devon Achane, leads the league in explosive runs this year. And down here at the bottom of the screen, that's Jalen Waddle, the speedy wide receiver. So I've seen Miami run this play 100 times since McDaniel has taken over as head coach. So they're going to motion Achane in the backfield. We can pause it right there. The big thing that you want to see here is these 2 in-breaking routes. Malik Washington, he's going to take the linebackers at this level of the field right here. That's going to present this open throwing lane for Jalen Waddle right there on the second in-breaker. And Quinn Ewers, the rookie quarterback, fits it right in there for a 16-yard gain. So when you see the Dolphins, you're going to see a lot of play action. You're going to see a lot of motion and window dressing. And with Quinn Ewers at quarterback, they're leading the league in bowls. So you're going to see a lot of different eye candy for the defense that makes it tough on those linebackers to drop in the middle of the field. I'm Evan Lazar.
The Patriots are in a much different place since they last saw Miami in Week 2. And frankly, so are the Dolphins, having lost star receiver Tyreek Hill and benching their starting quarterback. Paul, Deuce, what have we seen from a kind of frisky Dolphins team since benching Tua Tagovailoa?
Yeah, let's start with Devin Achane. I think that's a great place to start. He's a really good back. He's had a break. I don't know if it's even a breakout year. He had a good year last year too. But I think that's something the Patriots are going to have to be conscious of this week. That's been run defense. We don't know exactly what their personnel is going to look like up front, and the Patriots got to be careful, especially with Achane.
Yeah, and you're going to have to learn a little bit about their quarterback that plays now instead of Tua and Quinn Ewers. And he's been okay. He has shown some glimpses, and in 2 starts, he's been able to show the ability to move the ball around. The question's going to be, guys, who's he going to throw it to? That Dolphins, we talked about Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle gets banged up. He doesn't play much in that game. I don't know if we'll see him. Darren Waller is kind of always in that situation. They're big tight end, big athletic tight end. So I don't know how much help other than Achane Ewers is going to have.
Has that been the difference, maybe looking at Ewers compared to what the Jets are working with? It's just kind of personnel.
Yeah.
Obviously, Waddle's still up in the air.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think they still have a lot of their pieces on defense. It hasn't been a great defense, but with Bradley Chubb, he's an effective pass rusher. They got rid of Phillips on the other side to send him to Philadelphia. So, they have a hole there, but still Jordan Brooks in the middle of that defense making plays. Old friend Jack Jones is, a ball
Making
hawk.
some tackles, yeah.
So, they still have the players, whereas when you looked at the personnel from the Jets last week, it was like, man, they're really pulling them out of the woodwork, trying to, just feel the team. So I think there's enough talent with Miami.
Miami was in disarray the first time they played. They had held a team-only meeting after the first week of the season. It looked like McDaniel was going to go. It looked like everything was falling apart. Turns out Chris Greer, the general manager, did get let go, but McDaniel's still there, and he has the team playing hard. I think they're 5-2 in their last 7 games. What I've noticed on defense with Miami is the last 2, 3, 4 games, they get off to decent starts, and they haven't been able to sustain it. So I think if the Patriots can get off to a good start offensively, they should be able to cruise like they did against the Jets.
If Will Campbell and Milton Williams can go, is this a good opportunity for them to shake off some of the rust?
How healthy are these guys? Milton Williams has a week of practice under his belt. In that case, I probably would lean towards, get him out there, get him some snaps, knock some of that rust off. But, what's Will Campbell's status? We don't even know with Robert Spillane. So I think it's hard to really make a definitive argument right now. But if those guys are healthy, I'd love to see them get an opportunity to get out there.
I think that's probably the bottom line. If you're healthy enough to go, I think there's something to play for.
How motivated do you guys anticipate this team will be?
Well, I'm hoping it's cold, first of all, just to maybe suck a little bit of that motivation out.
Not great under 40 degrees for the Dolphins.
It's a great question with Mike McDaniel, and what's his status? It seems like Tua's on the way out. Is Mike McDaniel going to survive that transition? I think it's a big question mark with the Dolphins.
I do think that the Dolphins have shown that they're playing hard for their coach, and I do think McDaniel's going to survive this. To be 7-9 at this point, and they didn't pack it in. A lot of teams, I think, would have. They didn't. So that to me is a sign that the head coach hasn't lost the team, and I would expect them to play hard. I don't know if they'll have enough to be competitive with the Patriots right now. I think the Patriots are rolling, but I think they'll come to play.
I am now joined in the studio by Patriots linebacker Jahlani Tavai. Thank you for joining me.
Of course.
Jahlani, you are one of the few guys who was here for the last time the Patriots made a playoff run in 2021. How's it feel to be back?
It was great. Excited and just ready to get after Miami.
Take me back to this season. You're facing a third coaching change in your time here, and you get injured while you're trying to make an impression on a new staff. What was that time like for you?
The biggest thing for me was I had to just control what I could, and that was just getting healthy. And when my opportunity to get back on the field comes, just take full advantage. Yeah. So since Buffalo this year, I've just been trying to find ways to get on the field, whether it was off the ball or on the ball as a backer. So you face up and downs in life, and you just got to treat it the same way.
Now, when you were sidelined, you're watching the team compete, you're watching the new coaching staff. What did you learn about this new group?
I think the biggest thing I learned is they're just gritty.
Yeah.
Everybody's just, one, everything's about ball. Two, they just want you to make sure that you play 100% full tilt to the tackle, and that's just my type of football.
What's it been like for you getting to know guys like Bobby Spillane and Harold Landry, Kayvon Chason? How have you enjoyed those guys?
Oh, they're funny.
Yeah.
Each one of them have like their quirks or their personality. So it's been great to learn from them, learn their personality, and just play off of them.
The linebacker group is always pretty tight. You guys are always pretty close. What's it like this year? Because everyone I talk to is like, this is the closest team I've ever been on. What's your experience?
No, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, like you said, each linebacker core that I've been a part of has always been like this.
Yeah.
Whether I was the younger guy in the group,
Right.
to now I'm one of the older guys in the group. So it's good to see that not only on the field but off the field, we're still close, and we just got each other's backs.
In the spirit of New Year's, because today's New Year's Eve, this will air on New Year's Day. Kind of just reflecting on the season you guys have had, this group, what are you most proud of?
I think the way that everybody's backing up what they're saying, you know, whether they're talking to the team, talking to the press, or talking to the coaches, whatever we're saying and speaking, we stand 10 toes down on what we're gonna say, and win or lose, we're gonna continue to do that.
I love that. Last question, any New Year's resolutions this year?
As a family man, just trying to be a great partner, a great father, and just seize every moment.
Love it. Thank you so much, Jahlani, and best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more Patriots Unfiltered on TV after the break.
Patriots Unfiltered on TV is brought to you by Cross Insurance, official insurance broker of the New England Patriots, and by Sports Illustrated Tickets. 50 million sports, concerts, and theater tickets. Same seats, better prices. Fans deserve better.
You're watching Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
With the Patriots wrapping up the AFC East and needing a win and help from the Chargers to get the #1 seed on the final week, this 2025 season is starting to remind me more and more of the 2001 season. Back then, it was all about a second-year quarterback who, each week, was proving to be something special. It was a team made up of youth and seasoned veterans, molded in the image of their head coach. Sound familiar? And there we were back then, on the plane after beating the Panthers and taking the AFC East crown. We needed the Jets to upset the Raiders. Yeah, the Raiders were good back then. To get one of the two byes. At 30,000 feet, a couple people watched between staticky lines on mini TVs with antennas until Charlie Weiss finally yelled out, "That's it, Jets won." The plane erupted. I had the same feeling on Sunday on the bus back from the stadium to Gillette, except this time we watched on our phones with crystal clear reception. Allen missed the throw. Eagles win. Yeah, I'm getting that vibe. Every week is a gift, something to cherish and enjoy. What was old is new again. Could it be?
8 starters, 4 on each side of the ball, were unable to play against the Jets because of injuries. With the AFC East title clinch, should the Patriots use the final game as a bye week to get healthy? Or should they go all out for the bye, hoping Denver loses? Paul and Mike debate the pros and cons in this week's Trash Talk.
As we get to the playoffs here, one of the biggest questions facing this Patriots team is how many guys are they going to get back from injury? And Paul, as we go into this week against Miami, it's as much uncertainty as ever. Milton Williams came back last week. Will Campbell is eligible to come back this week. But when I look at this, and especially a guy like Robert Spillane, I'm thinking this Patriots team, you already know what they're not going to have, and that's going to be full health going into this playoff run. So I'm not pushing these guys back. I don't want to see more injuries. I want to tell these guys, get ready for week 1 in the playoffs and bring it then.
Yeah, ideally you want everybody back, but I know that's not realistic, and you're probably right. There are some guys who just physically will not be ready to play in this game against Miami. However, Mike, I do think it's important that if you are ready to play, and you're not in danger necessarily of, Milton Williams, of re-aggravating the injury. If he's close enough to 100%, I think there's a lot of value in knocking some rust off in a game like this. Not the least of which is you need to win the game. You want to make sure that if something happens in your favor in Denver, with the Chargers going to Denver and winning that game, you want to make sure you're in position, then everybody can rest. Then you get the #1 seed. So I think there's plenty to play for, and if these guys are physically up to it, they should play.
Yeah, I think maybe on the offensive side of the ball, Paul, it fits into that plan well. I mean, you're hoping that Kayshon Boutte with a concussion is going to be able to come back. Love to see how he fits into things without Matt Collins. They did a good job last week against the Jets, kind of figuring that out. Kyle Williams getting a little bit of a bump in play time. Stephon Diggs stepping up. But even Jared Wilson, too, also in concussion protocol last week. those are the two big injuries on the offense. So maybe those two guys can get back. It's really the defense that I think has the biggest question marks. But offensively, maybe you can really get the group together that you're probably going to go into the playoffs with. That'd be a big bonus for me.
Yeah, now the one guy on defense that I would say, Harold Landry, I think has been clearly dealing with something for the second half of the season. So he's a veteran. I'm not necessarily concerned about him. But I think anybody else that's, Milton Williams, I think you don't want a guy just having 6-7 weeks off and then say, hey, you got to go out there and stop Omarion Hampton, as an example, in the first playoff game if it were to be the Chargers here in Foxborough. So, again, it's a case-by-case basis. I agree with everything you said about the offensive guys, but if Will Campbell is close enough to 100%, there's value in getting some rust knocked off. I think these guys should go. And, again, the game matters. This is not just a nothing to be gained kind of a game. They need to win it.
Well, will the Patriots' health matter this weekend against the Dolphins before they get to the playoffs? Stay tuned for predictions after the break.
Now back to Patriots Unfiltered on TV.
The Patriots have one regular season game left in the season to decide their fate in the playoffs, and they'll want to close out strong against the Dolphins and control everything they can control for AFC seeding purposes. New England is a 10-point favorite at Gillette. The over-under is 45.5. Paul and Deuce, do they start 2026 with a 14th win?
I think they better. No, I feel pretty good about it. I don't know if it'll be as dominant as it was last week. I see them, again, trying to maybe pull their foot off the gas a little bit. But I like the Patriots in this one. I'm going to say 28-17.
Okay. Yeah, again, I'm pretty similar to Mike. I feel like the Patriots will have control of this game, ideally, and maybe be able to do a little what they did last week and get some rest in the second half. I'm going to say 30-17. I just like the way that Drake May has looked in these games. And I just think he's so comfortable. He looks better and better each week. I think mentally he looks like he's more and more in control. I don't know if Miami has enough to keep up.
I don't either, and that's why I'm going to go a little bigger. 35-21. Dolphins sneak some points in at the fourth quarter at the end there.
It was very Fred-like. Dolphins get a little, oh by the way, touchdown.
Some morale points there at the end. We'll see how it goes. That's going to be it for this special New Year's Day edition of Patriots Unfiltered on TV. As always, you can catch the three of us on Patriots Unfiltered on Patriots.com every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from noon to 2 p.m. For Paul Perillo and Mike Dussault, I'm Alex Francisco. We will catch you next week.